always recommend that you should go to Sarawak. Sarawak is an amazing place. Maybe it's the orangutan and the jungle and all that
Wih,
kind of
orang
stuff that I
hutan.
love. At the same time, I'm a big fan of Langkawi. I think everyone talks about Langkawi. And then you'd be surprised. Actually, there's this place I really love visiting. It's a place called Sekinchan. It's kind of...
Hai teman-teman, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jumpa lagi Fata di sini. Hai guys, hai teman-teman semua. Gimana kabar teman-teman semua? Semoga sehat selalu dan semoga bahagia selalu dan semoga hari teman-teman semua selalu diberi kesehatan dan kemudahan dalam hal apapun. Nah, selamat datang di channel Fata. Pada kali ini kita akan mereaksikan video dari seorang bule yang mana bule ini telah hidup selama 30 tahun di Malaysia. Nah, sebenarnya bule ini awalnya orang Australia, dia pindah ke Malaysia sejak 30 tahun yang lalu ya guys. Nah, dan banyak hal yang dialami oleh bule tersebut. Nah, kalian pasti penasaran kan bagaimana keseruan bule ini dan kesan yang dialami oleh bule ini. Oke, setelah itu kita akan menyimak videonya bareng-bareng. Dan sebelum itu seperti biasa aku akan mengajak teman-teman untuk subscribe dan nyalain tombol loncengnya agar tidak ketinggalan update terbaru dari channel ini. Tanpa berlama-lama, mari kita simak videonya. Let's go.
Singapore many times.
Yeah.
What's common Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, and what's different?
For me, the similarities are food, culture, and language, and kind of multilingual reality of everybody. Everyone speaks a whole bunch of languages and can construct sentences.
Oh, jadi bule ini yang paling berkesan pertama kalinya itu dia melihat betapa banyak jenisnya budaya serta makanan dan perilaku orang-orang sana ya guys ya. Nah, jadi bule ini akan menyampaikan rule yang perlu kita ketahui ketika kita ingin hidup di Malaysia seperti itu. Nah, jadi kita akan melihat tonton kembali ya guys.
In multiple languages, in a kind of known and accepted grammar structure of 2 or 3 languages, which is kind of fun. Malaysians and Singaporeans share that common trend. They know where to eat. They know where to eat.
Yeah.
So whether, and the amazing thing is you can have someone from, whether it's the Malaysian upper echelon in terms of businessmen and politician, you will find them in these kind of small stalls. I still remember I bumped into one of the richest men in Malaysia at one of my favorite roti canai places. With his friends, and they're having a great time. I don't know what they were discussing, but it was completely natural that they were there, and nobody bothered them, and it was very natural. So I think there's still that deep connection to food, and it almost doesn't matter how expensive it is. It has to be good, whether it's cheap or cost effective or high-end stuff. Malaysians, Singaporeans love that food. In terms of difference, of course, Singapore is a more regulated business environment. It is more efficient, but it's also more expensive. So now you've got to weigh up that level of productivity versus the level of the cost.
Yeah.
So it's actually this battle that goes on all the time.
What's the no thing in Malaysia?
Race, religion, and royalty. Avoid these. You can have the discussions, but be respectuous at the same time. If you ask me if you're a foreigner and you're trying to understand race, religion, and royalty, ask questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions. You will learn more. You'll be surprised whether you meet a Malaysian who is a Muslim.
Oh, jadi orang bule ini dia sangat kagum terhadap religi yang ada di Malaysia ya, dan royalty-nya sangat tinggi di Malaysia. Meskipun orang Malaysia itu dia mempunyai banyak beragam agama, tetapi royalty-nya sangat tinggi. Wah, ini sungguh menakjubkan ya yang ada di Malaysia ya guys ya.
Or Malaysian who's a Hindu, or Malaysian who's a Christian, or any one of another different religions that are here, you'll be surprised of the religious knowledge that each of these people have of the different religions. You'll actually learn, you'll be able to catch a lot from these people, and the way they speak about it is usually very respectuous.
Yeah.
And I think protecting that harmony is really a core value of Malaysians, and I think that is something that whether you are young or old, male, female, in the kampongs, in the village or in the city, you'll find that kind of run through the DNA of most Malaysians.
I saw the interview of one French guy who's been living in Singapore for 30 years or something.
Mhm.
And he said like in Singapore, people coexist, like different ethnicities coexist with each other. They kind of don't mix, like rajak salad. They don't mix, but they coexist. And that's the thing about Singapore. Is it the same about Malaysia?
I call this the 1957 narrative. I don't know if it's I just made it up. If someone uses it, quote me. The 1957 narrative is there's a whole bunch of races and they all came together. If you sit down and have a chat with most Malaysians, and probably the same with Singaporeans, like after an hour of some good coffee and you know a few different kueh or some nasi lemak, you'll say, actually my great grandfather was Chinese and he's a Malay guy.
Mhm.
Actually my grandmother was Indian. Actually my father is half Thai or part Sarawakian, and you will realize that while on the first layer they may present as Chinese or Malay or Indian, then you start to realize actually there's massive diversity even in that thing, and then you realize there's a level of DNA diversity as well as cultural diversity. So I think that exists, but at the same time, I think what you're seeing now is, you know, 2 or 3 generations on from independence, more intermarriage, more families have come together in terms of you know, their children are now, you know, this term Chindian, which is half Indian, half Chinese. And then you look at a Chindian kid and it's like, hey man, he looks Malay. you know, and you know, they're like gorgeous kids, and you're like, hey, okay, wait a second, where are we again?
Hey guys, Max is here. If you want to support me and my work, please just subscribe to the channel, like this video. I'll be super happy. I'll be showing you more interesting people in the future. Thank you so much.
3 top advice for a foreigner or expat to come to Malaysia and want to assimilate here, or at least like to do business in Malaysia.
Just invest the time in a cup of coffee or a teh tarik. Some people like to drink other beverages, which I won't mention. You know, but make sure it's the beverage of choice of the guy you want to, guy or girl that you're talking with. And just arrange to have sit down and discuss. Learn about the person first, and learn about their business setting, because there's a lot of family business in Malaysia. There's a lot of business that's related to, let's say for example, the halal industry. It may relate to someone's religious beliefs as well. So you've got to understand their motivations and that kind of stuff. It's in the West you call it knowing your customer, but in Malaysia it's called sitting down and having a cup of coffee.
What foreigners should understand about Malaysia, and what foreigners don't get about Malaysia?
I think sometimes foreigners are in a rush. We see with a lot of the business delegations that come in, they're here to sell. You know, like, okay, come buy my carpets, buy.
Oh alah, jadi apa namanya, orang-orang asing kebanyakan tuh yang datang ke Malaysia tuh dia tidak paham terkait dengan peraturan-peraturan bisnisnya ya. Jadi mereka harus perlu beradaptasi lumayan lama seperti itu agar mereka tahu bagaimana cara menjalankan bisnis di Malaysia seperti itu ya, guys.
My light bulbs, buy my mangoes, whatever it is, in a rush to sell. Malaysia, like most of Asia, is about relationships. So you've got to build those relationships. Once you have those relationships, it's hard to go wrong in Malaysia. Whenever things are going well, keep your relationships. When things go wrong, also Malaysians are the first to like, hey, let me help you out, lah, bro. You know, it's kind of a little bit more helpful there. What the problem is, it's still trying to understand the cultural differences, and then some people don't understand, of course, the different racial groups, the different religions, and all this. Sometimes it's their first encounter with a foreign country, so it's a learning experience for you. So I think don't be in a rush to learn.
Is it difficult to assimilate in Malaysia for a foreigner?
You as an individual have to make certain decisions. Are you coming here to say, I know better than everybody else, and trying to impose your way on them? That's a recipe for disaster wherever you go in the world. You know, so don't apply that model. So if you apply the model that you're here to do business and you're looking for mutual benefit, I think that's a good way forward. Malaysians are quick learners. They always, you know, so many of them go overseas, travel and as well as overseas education. They're not afraid of foreigners. There's no like xenophobia, like, oh, this guy is from somewhere, I've never been there. What they'll be happy to know is if there's somebody who is interested in their culture, interested in their ways. Other thing is learn some of the language. I mean, even like day one, show up, know something.
Yeah.
Like learn it on the plane. Malay is a really easy language to learn.
Jadi orang Malaysia ini jiwa-jiwa ingin belajarnya itu sangat tinggi ya guys. Nah jadi ketika ingin pergi ke luar negeri, dia mempelajari terlebih dahulu peraturan-peraturan yang ada di luar negeri menurut ulasan atau apa namanya kesan dari orang bule ini, seperti itu. Nah oke, kita lanjut dulu.
Even if you get it wrong, you've tried. If you take the first step, Malaysians will take 2 steps.
What would be your top 3 places to go in Malaysia? Maybe not so obvious.
I would always recommend that you should go to Sarawak. Sarawak is an amazing place. Maybe it's the orangutan and the jungle and all that.
Weh,
kind of stuff that I
orangutan.
love. At the same time, I'm a big fan of Langkawi. I think everyone talks about Langkawi. And then you'd be surprised. Actually, there's this place I really love visiting. It's a place called Sekinchan. It's kind of drive from KL. There's these gorgeous rice fields, and it's beside the ocean as well. So if you go there at the right time of year when it's green, the sky is blue, you can take these amazing photos. And there's just something about looking at a big, massive rice field that just relaxes you. That would be my off the radar kind of place that I like to go. And you can get like these really amazing mango shakes underneath this big mango tree. And it's like you've been out in the hot sun the whole day and you've gone here and there and everywhere, and you sit under this mango tree with a whole bunch of people. It's like ice and mango, and it's like they take this massive mango, puree it. It's pure mango. Yeah. So this kind of stuff again, and I think it's not even going to cost you $1 or something. It's just amazing experience, and you're just able to kind of get out of KL. Sometimes you just want to get out of the city and have a bit of a relaxing time. So it's kind of fun.
What's your favorite food in Malaysia?
Actually, I always love roti canai, but I've got to cut down because of the, you've got a side angle going on there. Roti canai nasi lemak is always good. There's so much good food if you get out of KL as well. Up on the east coast, one of this is like kind of like a sausage called keropok lekor, made out of kind of fish. It's almost like a fish sausage. You can't imagine it. Eat it with some chili sauce. Love it.
Is there anything that you don't like about Malaysia?
A lot of Malaysians are gonna kill me right now. I just can't get the idea of durian into my head. I've been here for 30 years, and like every once in a while I will try durian again.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. And I know it's the king of fruits and all this kind of stuff, but I know there's a lot of foreigners who just are almost addicted to this stuff. And Malaysians, of course, is like 90%, Although there's some Malaysians who are in my team who are not big durian fans, but I don't know what it is. That's kind of the only thing I can't assimilate. We say in Malay, mat saleh. I can't assimilate my mat saleh brain. It just doesn't work. There's something with the DNA of a durian and the DNA of a northern. It just doesn't match.
Remember your first impressions?
Malaysia was definitely a developing country 30 years ago. When you first arrive it wasn't KLIA, it was Subang Airport. And not Subang Airport as we know it today. Subang Airport now is for like private jets and helicopters, and it's a gorgeous little spot. So for all those high-end guys who are flying in, you're landing in Subang. But in those days, the road from Subang Airport to the hotel where we're staying in downtown KL, there was a whole bunch of rumah tinggang, which is kind of like, you call them shanty towns, but it was like temporary housing. This like really corrugated iron roofs, and I was like, wow, we really came to the developing world. Now, if you want to live along that road, you have to be a millionaire. The development of that corridor has And that's just one story of development. Now, I think you can see, not in the background, but there's, I don't know how many tall buildings there are.
Yeah.
I always joke the tallest building at that time was the Maybank building. Now I kind of like challenge people. One, have you ever heard of the Maybank building? And two, can you see it in the skyline? Because it's just so much. The skyline has just expanded. Property has boomed in Malaysia. Business has definitely developed.
Oke guys, itu saja video dari reaksi pada kesempatan kali ini. Nah, jadi si bapak ini selama 30 tahun hidup di Malaysia, kesannya itu pertama yaitu di bagian race, yang mana race ini bahwasanya Malaysia itu suka terhadap perlombaan, entah itu di dunia bisnis ataupun hal yang lainnya. Nah, yang kedua yaitu di bagian religionnya atau agama dan kebudayaan. Nah, yang mana di agama di Malaysia ini banyak sekali berbagai macam agama dan kebudayaan, yang mana mereka ini memiliki banyak keagamaan, dan yang paling penting mereka ini memiliki kehormatan yang paling tinggi seperti itu. Nah, dan yang terakhir itu ada royalty yang telah Bule ini sampaikan, yang mana royalty-nya itu jiwa keroyalitasnya Malaysia ini sangat tinggi. Nah, seperti itu. Nah, oke, mungkin itu saja reaksi pada kesempatan kali ini. Sampai jumpa di video selanjutnya ya guys.